What about my previous questions about parents' responsibilities towards their children? I believe we answered this question. However, there's no harm in mentioning the answer again briefly that the father and the mother both have responsibilities that have been laid upon them by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran al-Kareem and the authentic sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. From those responsibilities is to teach the children, educate them, teach them manners of Islam, the spiritual responsibility to raise them as Muslims. Okay, Allah Azza wa Jal has told us in the Quran al-Kareem, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِكُمْ نَارًا, to protect yourselves and protect your families from a fire. And the way of protecting yourself and your family from the fire is through learning Islam, practicing Islam, teaching them Islam, giving them the proper manners and the proper etiquettes. The Prophet ﷺ has instructed us in several authentic hadith with regards to prayer, okay, with regards to many aspects of the religion, alright? The spiritual aspect, he told us to instruct our children to pray when they reach a certain age, okay? Discipline them physically to pray when they reach a certain age. And there are other hadith, some are authentic and some are not authentic, with regards to other issues of the religion, okay? With regards to other issues of the religion. An example of this is the famous hadith of Asma radiallahu anha that's collected by Imam Abu Dawood in his Sunan. And there's difference of opinion among the ulama with regards to the authenticity of this hadith. The most correct opinion is that the hadith is weak, is not authentic. And the Prophet ﷺ, he did not say those words. Okay, that's the strongest opinion, okay, based off of my humble study and my humble view. And there's some ulama who consider the hadith to be sahih. And there are others, as I said, who consider it to be extremely weak. The hadith says that the Prophet ﷺ said, whenever a young girl reaches the age of adolescence, then this cannot be seen, nor can this be seen. Okay, and he pointed to his hands and his face. When a young girl reaches puberty and she becomes of age, no one can see this and no one can see that. Alright, and he pointed to his hands and his face. Now, the reason why I mention this hadith, as I said, there's difference of opinion on its authenticity, and the opinion that we see to be most correct is that it's weak. But the point of the hadith, the general highlighting point from the hadith is that he said she has to cover up. And nothing can be seen from her except for her face and her hands. In other words, according to that hadith, he gave instructions to the Muslims with regards to the hijab of a young girl. And he didn't just leave it open, okay? He didn't just allow the young girl to grow up and be uncovered. Everybody see the point that we're trying to get here. The concept of covering the hands and the face in Islam, is it obligatory, is it recommended? That's a different issue. That's not what we're speaking about right now. That's not what we're talking about right now. But we're trying to reach a general deducement from the hadith. Khair, inshallah. And there are other hadith with regards to raising your children upon Islam. Another responsibility is that the husband take care of the children. He feed them, he clothe them, he shelter them, he give them the necessary means of survival and of living. Nourish them physically, mentally, and spiritually. Also show them love, show them affection, show them care, especially if you have daughters. Okay? And the Prophet ﷺ has informed us of the virtues of raising daughters. Those who are patient upon that, those who stick with their daughters and raise them, okay, how the station that they will have in paradise. Okay, and the Messenger of Allah has also informed us in the authentic hadiths collected in the Sahih about losing daughters, a woman having a miscarriage, and the virtue of being patient upon that. That's in brief. As for the mother, then she has similar rights upon her, or similar responsibilities. The physical maintenance, the financial maintenance is not upon her, it's upon the father. Okay, the father is to be the breadwinner. However, in many places, unfortunately, in America, or the UK or other Western countries, even here in Medina, but especially in America, there are many single-parent homes, unfortunately. And a lot of times the woman is the mother and the father. And a lot of times the woman has to work and she has to provide for the children. So if the husband isn't around, or the father isn't around, one father or another, before Islam, after Islam, whatever the case may be, then she also is responsible for taking care of those children. Because that's the burden that Allah has put upon her. So she's to seek Allah's help in seeking the rizq for her children. She's to show them love. She's to show them kindness. And the responsibility of a mother raising her children upon Islam, we say is greater than the father. And it comes before the father. It takes precedence in the man. That is because the lap of the mother is the first school that the child will attend. before the child goes with the men and sits in the masjid and learns how to shake hands and don't walk in front of people making salat and listen to the Quran, before he does any of that, that baby is going to be taught by his mother. So the woman has to be strong upon Islam. And it's something that's very sad. A lot of times we find women, they point the finger at the husband or the father, and you're not this, and you don't do this, and so on and so on and so on and so forth. Okay? Sometimes we have to have self-evaluation. Okay? Knowledge of self, as they say. Knowledge of self. Know yourself. Criticize yourself first. So a strong woman who has a good relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if she can teach the child, alhamdulillah, that's more than sufficient. And there were many great ulama that came, and we read about them on a daily basis, that the first people who educated them and instructed them to seek knowledge were their mothers. And from the most famous of them was Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. His mother sent him to the hadith circles. It's not mentioned that his father, his mother did that. And we have the best example of Musa alayhi salam in the Quran al-Kareem, what his mother did for him and how she stood by him and she obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commands. Khayran, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, love, affection, caring, give them recreation, as is mentioned in the Quran in Surah Yusuf alayhi salam. Okay, when they ask their father to go and allow them to race, have a little fun. It's permissible to have fun, as long as it's not haram fun, as long as nothing that's evil or a vice. This is all from the etiquettes and the responsibilities of parents towards their children.